Welcome back to the channel. This week's video is a Q&A because I haven't been out and about as much as I'd like to have been. So yes, this week it's questions about out and about with Andy. I've had a fantastic response from you guys, and I should have a nice little video here where you asked me some interesting questions. And thank you very much for everybody who contributed. I'm going to put a link in the description to all of your channels if you've asked from a channel. For everybody watching this, please go and check out all of these YouTubers' channels. All the channels featured are fairly small channels, and we're all trying to make a little bit of an impact onto YouTube, and we would really appreciate your help if you go and check out the channels. Watch some of the content. If you like it, subscribe. It helps everybody out. So the first question comes from Watto at Wending with Watto. Now, Watto actually is a subscriber on the other channel I do, which is Andrew Walton Photography, and so this question is a little bit more skewed towards photography, but I thought I'd include it into this Q&A anyway. So I'll just grab my notes, and yeah, here's the first question from Watto. It's actually two questions really. What is my favourite genre of photography? Was it landscape, street, nature, wildlife, macro or experimental? This could be a long video if I get talking about photography. They're all very different genres, and I like to experiment with all of them. Some may say jack of all trades, master of none when it comes to photography. There are some of those genres which you need good gear for, and that's something I don't have. I do enjoy doing landscape photography. I don't really have the equipment for it. Similarly for wildlife, you could spend thousands and thousands of pounds on lenses and things like that to shoot wildlife. That's beyond my budget. I do like doing street photography as well. I've done that in the past. That you can do with pretty much anything. Your phone even is good for capturing street photography. You can do that with a basic compact camera. I've done that before as well. I'd like to do some astrophotography at some point. I've never tried that, and I'd like to give that a go. Do I have a favourite genre? It's difficult to say. I really enjoy photography full stop, so as long as I'm out with a camera, I'm a happy bunny. So the second question from Watto was, what software, if any, do you use to colour grade your photos? Well, I tend to shoot in Camera Raw, which is basically a flat profile, a bit like if you do video in like a flat profile and then you enhance it afterwards. So I have to actually edit the images. You can shoot JPEG, and I have done in the past, and I did do for a lot of years, was just shooting JPEG, but I do have access to Adobe Creative Suite. Unfortunately, I don't have a PC that's really fast enough to run it. So yeah, that's a future plan, to upgrade the PC so I can actually edit videos faster as well, and also to be able to take advantage of Creative Suite, because at the moment I don't use Lightroom. I do all the processing in Photoshop. I hope that kind of answers the question. It's basically Photoshop. So for the next two questions, again, I'll be sticking with a photographic theme. The next question comes from actually Mrs. Watto, which is Kim, from Kim's Pics 59. And Kim asks, what camera do you prefer and why? Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can see behind me, I've got dozens of cameras, most of them cheap and cheerful. What is my favourite camera? I shoot a lot with the Panasonic FZ82, which is a cheap budget bridge camera. Basically my photographic channel is based around that camera. I have a lot of people who use that camera but didn't have anybody using it sort of to give them inspiration, so that was kind of my little niche to do with the photography channel. Is it my favourite camera? Probably not. It is slightly limited in some respects, and I do have a Nikon D3300, which again isn't a flash camera these days, but I do enjoy using that. I also really enjoy using one of my old film cameras, which is an old Fujiga STX1, which was the first SLR camera I ever got my hands on. I still have it and still enjoy shooting that now and again when I get some film to put through it. Kind of the final photography question here comes from Nathan Elward Photography, and he asks, if I had unlimited funds, what camera, lenses and gear would you get and why? So kind of a bit similar, but Kim asked what I already own, which is my favourite camera. This one, if I had unlimited funds, I'm really impressed with some of the medium format Hasselblad cameras. They are an insane amount of money. I think it's about £12,000 to £15,000 depending on which lens combination you go with. They only give you one lens and the body for £15,000, but you can handhold an image for about 2-3 seconds without any motion blur, and it's such a clever camera. Yeah, it looks a fantastic piece of kit. Kind of closer to reality, affordability wise. A Nikon Z7 with a series of good quality glass would be really nice. Or I do like Panasonic cameras, so the S5 II, again with some of their lenses as well. I'd probably pick a 50mm prime and maybe a wide angle lens and a zoom of some description. Yeah, something like that. I'd like a good drone. I have a little drone I play about with, and part of the reason I don't spend a lot of money on a new drone is I'm particularly bad at flying it. So yeah, a nice DJI drone would be quite cool. Other kit would I buy? And a decent, really good tripod. I'd like one of these with the self-leveling ball heads on them, which I know I'm going off stuff here, but you did ask about photography, so this is what you get. So having a tripod that was always level would be a godsend. So I hope, Nathan, that answers some of your questions anyway. So the next question comes from Fen. He doesn't have a YouTube channel, but he is the illustrator who redid my little channel mascot there. He asks, how many countries and places have you visited? Let's see. I did do a lot of sort of city break type travelling around a few years ago before I settled down with family. So I've been to Dublin a couple of times. That was a fantastic city to visit. Berlin. We went to Budapest in Hungary. We went to Prague. Prague is stunning. Budapest, quite nice as well. Berlin was one of those places you thought, you know, this is a really cool place to visit. I felt completely safe wandering around the streets at night, and it had a unique culture to it. That was interesting. Obviously, you'll have seen lots of times we've been to Spain, the Canary Islands, so Fuerteventura, Gran Canaria and Lanzarote. I think I've been to Fuerteventura a couple of times, 3 times now, and we always go to the same resort, but they're not big islands with the Canaries, so if you want to travel around them you can. It's quite good like that. Why we like the Canaries, it's warm and you're pretty much guaranteed it's not going to rain. Where else have I been? France, obviously. I had hair when I went to France, so that's how long ago that was. I've been into Italy and Austria, again, when I was younger, on school ski trips and things like that. So I probably didn't spend a lot of time immersing myself in the local culture. Where else have I been? Denmark, again, when I was a kid. Obviously Scotland, Wales. I'd like to go back to Wales, haven't really done much there. And again, Scotland, would love to get in a camper van and tour around Scotland, picking out lots of places to visit and do videos from. Yeah, how did I manage to forget about that? Yeah, we went to Turkey this year. Would I go back? Yeah, I think so, now that I'm a bit more streetwise to how things go down there. Been to quite a few places, still plenty more I'd like to go to. I'd like to go back to Italy as well. Again, for some strange reason, my wife says Italy is for old people. I did point out that we are now old people. So we should go there. It is a little bit on the pricey side, however. Yeah, I'd love to go to Italy, especially sort of Sorrento and the sort of that kind of coastline down there. Next question, which is from Cara at the Open-Minded Wanderer. I'll put a link again to her channel, and if you are interested in history, and especially British history, old churches, things like stone circles, mythology, and a little bit of sort of that kind of history, especially in the Wiltshire area. If you ever visit Wiltshire, Cara's your person you want to actually check the channel out, because you'll find loads of places you want to visit. So anyway, Cara's question was, what has been your favourite place you have visited so far? I do really like Lanzarote. It has a little bit of a charm about it, and it's quite unspoiled because they have quite strict building regulations there, so there are not many high-rise buildings and things like that, so it's got a lot of charm to it. I did quite like some of the things we saw in Turkey. I think that country has a lot to offer. I do follow another channel, and they've driven through Turkey, and they found the people outside of the resorts to be really, really helpful and really friendly. So, you know, we just had a bad experience, but I think Turkey has a lot of things to see and do, and yeah, I'd like to say that was probably one of my favourite places. But at the moment, I do like Lanzarote. The next question comes from the Gen Xers, that's Generation Explorers, if you're looking for a YouTube channel. And also they have another channel which is Generation Xperiences, so that's Nick and Jill. And their question is, what was the very best and worst place you've stayed at? I presume they mean hotels. So the best hotel we've stayed at, hands down, has to be the one we went to in Turkey in March, which was the Delphin Imperial. That was just out of this world as far as a hotel goes for service, the quality of the food, everything was just tip-top. You could tell it was a 5-star hotel. A close second is the Barcelo Active Club in Lanzarote. That was a fantastic hotel. That was a 4-star hotel. It was very good. Food again, excellent there. Rooms were really nice. Couldn't fault them for the service. The staff were really helpful as well, especially when my wife was ill, and they arranged to get a doctor out because we were flying home that day, and my wife was like really worried about her chest. They were really, really helpful. So yeah, I'd recommend both those hotels. And that last little hotel we stayed in, even though it was only 2-star and we were only there for bed and breakfast, that was a nice little hotel as well. The worst, well, there are a couple here. One of them in Fuerteventura, which was the Caleta Gardens, and that was pretty rough. The food was okay, but the rooms weren't great, and I think the hotel, the last time we were in Fuerteventura, it was closed for refurbishment, and it was badly needed. So hands down, the worst hotel we've ever stayed in was the Blue Sea Pics, and that was in Alcudia in Mallorca. Now, it was the worst hotel for a couple of reasons. The food was dreadful. Absolutely, I mean, you were talking sort of the worst types of turkey twizzlers and limp salad, and it was just, you really couldn't eat the food. It was that bad. The drinks all seemed to be watery. Even the beer was sort of watered down. The staff were lovely, I've got to say. The staff were fantastic, really nice people. The rooms were super clean, and there were small rooms, but you know, this was a cheap holiday that we'd elected for. The worst part were the clientele, and I don't want to be snobby, but when you've got people that just go there to drink constantly, all day, every day. The police were called to a fight around the pool one day. There was just people just shouting and bawling, and you know, they'd say "oh" across the theatre, and it was just all the time. It was really, really rowdy, and we were lucky in that Alcudia has plenty to see and do, so we went out of the hotel, ate out, and I mean, you couldn't even eat the breakfast. It was that bad. yeah, it was just a base to go and see Alcudi from, and we ate out and we ate some, tapas and things like that, and had a really good time despite this. However, the icing on the cake was we came back one day and found the hotel was closed. The police were stopping anybody going in. They had the local police and the national police who were standing there, cross-armed with their guns and everything, stopping anybody going to the hotel. Fire brigade were there and they were busy switching off all of the gas. What had actually happened was the first they thought it was been a gas explosion to do with the kitchens, but it wasn't. The gym had been moved above the kitchen, and obviously there'd been a structural failure in the floor, and basically all the gym equipment came falling down through the ceiling, and sadly a couple of the staff were in the kitchen at the time, and they ended up with life-changing injuries, which was absolutely appalling. And obviously guests, being selfish individuals that they were more concerned with what's going to happen to me, and of course you had a lot of these very abrasive people being very abrasive about the situation they were in. We actually did get moved to another hotel, which was the Bellevue, which was actually a really nice hotel, and we spent the next 2 days there. And that was an experience. To top it off as well, we'd moved hotels. I'd rang the travel company who were doing our transfers and told them we were at a different hotel, and they told us the time to be there, and they didn't turn up. So that also cost me some money to get a taxi all the way from Alcudia to Parma. So I think that was a nice bill of around €80, which, made the cheap holiday less cheap. So I think that's pretty much the best hotel and the worst hotel there answered. The next question comes from AlanMETALMAN Outdoors. If you like walking, hiking, things like that, check out Alan's channel. And he asks, what type of videos do you enjoy making the most? Photography, hotel reviews, and resort tours, things like that. Do I have a favourite? Obviously, doing the photography channel, I do a lot of photography videos for that channel. The ones you see here generally are just snapshots I use when I'm using my phone. But they're easy to make and simple and dead straightforward, so they're not arduous in any way, shape and form. So they're easy, but they're not the ones that I'm particularly the proudest of, if you like. Doing a longer video showing somebody around a resort or showing somebody around a hotel and doing a lengthy video about that, much more satisfying in the end. The one I did of a hotel we stayed in Turkey, the Delphin Imperial, I'm quite happy with that video. I think it works really quite well. It has a lot of the hotel in it. You can get a good look around the hotel and kind of gauge what it's like from my video, I think, which is kind of what it's about, really. So I hope that answers that for you, Alan. So the last question from Yasmin. That wasn't an alphabetical order. Yasmin, that wasn't, honest. Yasmin's hiking mission. Check out Yasmin's, again, if you're an outdoors person, check out Yasmin's channel. She does a lot around the moors, the fells, and up the coast, different parts of the UK, and she does a lot of hiking and a little bit of wildlife, a bit of photography thrown in there as well. So check out her channel. So Yasmin has asked 3 questions. Your next adventure abroad? Well, the next adventure abroad, we have something lined up for December. We're going to get some winter sun. We're off for a cheap and cheerful, hopefully, adventure in Fuerteventura. We're staying at one of the cheapest accommodations available. We've had a look on YouTube. Some people said it's a bit rubbish, some people said it's alright, some people said, good value for money. So we're gonna see what we think of that. We like eating out anyway, so the fact that it doesn't cater food doesn't bother us. It's more just like an apartment at base. So yeah, we're gonna get some winter sun in Fuerteventura. The next part of the question is any dream locations you'd love to travel to and haven't ticked off the list yet? Right, if I go back to when I was in my 20s, I had an ambition, and that was to visit the Amazon. I keep tropical fish. Right, that's another side to me that you didn't know about, but I keep tropical fish, and I always wanted to go fish collecting in some of the Amazon tributaries. Knowing how I get bit by insects, even going to Spain and things like that, it's just a no-go, because I would come back with something horrendous. I'd have things living under my skin and all sorts. Everything likes to make a meal out of me when I go abroad. So although it's a dream location, it would probably be a nightmare location as well. Close to home, I'd like to go to Iceland. I'd love to see the Northern Lights and do some photography up there. The waterfalls and the ice beach with great big bits of ice on it. And there's some absolutely stunning locations in Iceland, and I'd like to go there. So that's probably another dream location. I can't see my other half saying, we'll not go for somewhere warm, we'll go to Iceland. Yeah. So, but that's definitely a place I'd like to visit. And lastly, Yasmin asks, do I have a favourite photographer? There are quite a lot of photographers who I do admire. From YouTube based, I'll just stick with YouTube photographers. Obviously, you got the popular landscape photographers. Although I don't do a lot of landscape photography, do admire and enjoy watching them do landscape photography. So channels like Gary Goff, he does a lot around the UK. Obviously Thomas Hayton, who's really successful YouTuber, great. Also Gavin Hardcastle out in the States, and Adam Gibbs, people like that. They do some fantastic photography, and yeah, I find them good to watch, and certainly you get inspiration from watching their videos. Are they the best? So the next question is from Bruce from the channel Wending Our Way. Now Bruce is from Nova Scotia, and if you haven't watched this channel, basically the star of the channel isn't Bruce, it's Otis, his dog, his Bernese mountain dog. Lovely, lovely animal. Slight addiction to bananas, but yeah, the channel basically documents them going out for walks in the countryside, the coast, generally all of the outdoors in Nova Scotia. Some lovely scenery and lovely walks out with Bruce's dog. So Bruce's question: what is your oldest camera? Is it still operative, and when did you last use it? So cue some props here. I have two cameras. I'll start with this one, which is a twin reflex twin lens. Through the, you look through the top of it, look through that. Now this was given to me years and years ago, and I've never used it in anger. It's got quite a lot of buttons and dials and other things, and it is a little bit intimidating. However, I have shot some 120 film last year, and I have plans to actually get out and use this camera, which will be interesting, I'm sure. Now I'm not sure if that's the oldest camera I have, or this one, which is a Hawkeye Brownie. Nice Art Deco styling. It's made of Bakelite. That uses, I think, is it 127 film, something like that. I did have to find a specialist who made the film available for this camera, but yeah, I have actually used this camera on my photography channel. I did some classic cars with classic Kodaks and used this camera. Again, it's another one where you look through the glass panel at the top, and that looks through this lens at the front, and basically gets you an approximation of the lens here where the film's exposed. And you just wind on the film and take another shot. There is a danger of double exposures with cameras like this, but that can be quite arty. So this one I know is from about 1953, so that is possibly the oldest camera I have. Do have plans to find one which is a lot older and give that a go as well. So the next question is from Anita at OmaFarAway. Now, Anita's channel documents her travels worldwide. Basically, she used to live in New Zealand, moved to the Netherlands, and still heads back to the other side of the world on a regular basis to see family, but also visits most of Europe as well. So she describes this as being a living photo album. Go and check Anita's channel out. There's lots of stuff in there to watch. I think there's about 400 plus videos there. So Anita's question is, how do I regulate watching other channels and find time to edit my own videos? Well, that's an issue for all of us on YouTube, I think, especially if you're part of a community where you have grown with other channels and things like that. Certainly with the photography channel, there are a bunch of guys who I follow their channels. They'll watch my videos, I'll watch their stuff, and it's the same with Out and About with Andy. There are channels who'll watch my videos and I'll go and watch theirs. Fitting it all in, that is always a nightmare. I must be subscribed to about 300 channels with both channels, so finding time to go out and watch everybody's content is a little bit difficult. I don't watch TV anymore, I know that for sure, and it's very rare that I watch anything on television. Mainly spend time either editing videos, editing photos, or watching YouTube. So I hope that answers that one, Anita. So the GenerationXplorers channel is basically, it runs alongside GenerationXplorers, and it's more or less all of the stuff that doesn't fit under the umbrella of GenerationXplorers goes on GenerationXperiences. So Jill's question is, if I could start again either channel from scratch, what would I do differently? There's a big can of worms, isn't there? I don't have any regrets with either channel. I have changed the direction of Out and About with Andy and the name several times as the content has changed. I did start it off to, not to really showcase, but just to upload all of my drone flying, which was, yeah, not very good. So I still occasionally fly the drone, but is it worth making it into a video? Probably not. It's probably worth as a bit of B-roll to go in other videos. And I think that's the way that you have to be with drone flying, unless you're doing some absolutely epic landscapes or flying it across a volcano or something like that, which people will find fascinating. Me flying around a field locally and trying not to crash, not really worth YouTube time. So that would be the only thing I would change about that channel. I would have probably just got straight into the travel stuff earlier, I think. So I hope that answers that for you, Jill. So guys, thank you very much. If you've stayed through all of that, me rambling on for about, I don't know, it's probably going to be half an hour's worth. If you've enjoyed asking Andy and hearing the answers, then thank you very much. If you've stuck through that all the way to the end, thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. It's not always like this. I do actually go places, and yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.